folks. Chuck, you still here? Oh, yeah. Folks, good evening. Good evening. How we doing? This is Johnny, Creative Finance with JB, and we're back for another Tuesday. We have Miss Cherie Thompson on today, and we're gonna have a great conversation. Because we're learning how to heal. We're gonna start healing. We're gonna start talking about the healing process because we have to understand that through our mindsets, through our body, through our life changes, our experiences, we have suffered some trauma. I mean, coming through, it took me a while to understand why I did certain things and going through therapy and dealing with folks in the field like Miss Thompson's, and it just became ever more evident that it's some things that we have to do in our lives that is going to be able to make us better persons as we go out here in the community. And as you see, Miss Cherie, she's the founder and CEO of Helping is the Core. She's have a global movement. She done wrote some books. I mean, we have a wealth of knowledge here that we're going to share tonight that, it's going to be so interesting to understand that our behavior sometimes affects how we do things and how we deal with people. And how does that affect us in business? How does that affect us when we out here building relationships to develop a business? How do we even interact in that environment? But without further ado, I'm going to give Ms. Thompson a little brief introduction to where she can introduce herself, tell us a little bit about her past, of how she came to this movement, and go from there. Ms. Thompson, thank you and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So first, thank you for having me tonight on your podcast. I appreciate it. I love spreading awareness to folks so that, I don't know, this 2025 started a very transformational year for me. And I sat in corporate America for about 20 years, a little over 20 years. And I was in leadership over half of that. And one of the things that I noticed in the corporate world is it's not that people wanted to show up every day and just do a bad job. Sometimes it was the things that they were carrying into the building that they couldn't shake. And a lot of the people that I mentored, talking to them, they didn't even see the value that they bring to their jobs every day.
Wow.
And I'm going to be really honest with you. Primarily, most of them are women. We do not see our value. We do not. We do not know how to sell our worth. So backtrack a little bit for myself. So what I did was January 2025, I went on this whole self-seeking journey because I just kept saying, I felt like something was missing. And I had the 6-figure income, vacationing once a month. The whole joke of the job was, what cruise ship will you be on this month? So, I mean, I was on a cruise ship more than I was in the building.
Right.
So, the big houses, the cars, the American dream that most people think that that's what they aspire to. But it was something in my soul that just wasn't fulfilling with all of that. And I couldn't figure out what it was. So I started a self-help journey last year and I read about 70 books and I'm in it. I'm pouring into them. And I went to a lot of seminars. I am a huge fan of Tony Robbins. And in all of that, I kept saying, I'm getting bits and pieces from each motivational speaker that I'm speaking to, but nobody's giving me the tools to bring it all together. So that's what I started doing. I said, how can I bring this all together? So a lot of things that I started noticing was with the conversations I was having with other people, it was, you are not broken. And most people think that they need to be fixed. Most people think that, oh, well, I had a bad childhood, so the rest of my life should be crap. And that is so far from your reality. Those are just the beliefs that you've told yourself. And beliefs can be rewired. So that's something that Helping is the Core does. We have 6 pillars. Oh,
Wow.
go ahead.
No.
So our flagship course is 28-day personal transformation journey.
Mm.
And helping is the core came to me in a dream, to be honest. I'm sitting there one night and I'm asleep and I got up about 4 o'clock in the morning and I start writing. And my husband like, what the heck are you doing? And I was like, something came to me in a dream. And the word helping is what came to me. I didn't know what it was, couldn't figure it out. It took me about maybe a month or so. And I have to be honest, I was not really a big religious person.
Person.
I believe in God, but I
Right.
just sit down, pray all the time. That just was not me. So once I started getting all these signs, I started praying and I'm like, God, okay, can you give me a sign as to what this is? And eventually it came to me: happiness, energy, love, positivity, and gratitude, which is the core of who you are. So that's how the name came to me. That was maybe May of last year. I sat on it, but I kept praying and I'm like, God, I don't feel something is missing. What is this helping? You know what he told me? He said, your time at your job is up.
Wow.
You keep holding on to something that no longer serves you.
Wow.
But being human, I was scared. And I kept saying, this is my family's lifeline. If I walk away from this, what do I have?
Right.
And he said, walk away from it and watch what I do for you.
Woo.
August 31st. That last Friday in August was my last day in corporate America.
Wow.
Now here's the plot twist. September the 2nd, we have Labor Day weekend. We partied. September the 2nd, my husband walked into his job at T-Mobile of 25 years and got laid off. We did not see that coming. Did not see it coming. So now we got 2 folks unemployed. And you in Smyrna. So we are on a golf course in Townsend, Delaware with no incomes. And when I say August, September, October, November, December, January, February, we was on a cruise ship. God did not take his hands off anything in the Thompson household because I stepped out on faith. And I said, you know what? I'm putting all my eggs in your baskets and let's see what you can do. And sometimes we have to step out on faith because we hold on to things so tightly, and that's the main thing that's blocking your blessing.
Right.
And I didn't realize I was blocking my own blessings. So
amazing.
Let's get back to helping is the core. When I started doing this, I was always that person who always felt like the world was against me. What am I doing? We all been there. You don't get the promotion at work. Is everybody fault but yours? And when I really started looking back at it, I said, you know what? I am the creator of my own life. The things that I speak over my life. When I went back over my life, I said, you know what? Everything that I've been through, I spoke into existence and didn't realize it. Just from the things I say out loud, my energy and my thoughts. So some of us don't realize we're stuck in a pattern of the repetitive thoughts that we have.
Right.
Get out of the negativity. So one thing that Helping is the Core does is we have a 28-day personal transformation course that at first I put a monetary price on it. But then something kept saying to me, this is your way to pay it forward. Take the price off of it and watch what God do for you. So now I offer a 28-day program that I'll do 2 workshops a day, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. free of charge.
Wow.
Because most people who need healing cannot afford it.
Right.
They can't. So I'm not in it for the what I can get from it. I'm in it from the how can I help somebody else.
Right.
So it teaches you how to create an intentional morning. One of the things I used to do, jump up first thing in the morning, grab my cell phone, or I cut the news on. You do not understand how grabbing that cell phone will drain your energy immediately. Because the first
Mm-hmm.
thing you do is you look at the negativity on social media, you go to
Mm-hmm.
emails that don't serve you, you got bills popping up. So you're already in a state of, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I create an intentional morning. First thing I do before I get up is I lay there in 10 minutes of absolute silence.
Wow.
After silence, I listen to a feel good song. Then I get up, I do a 10-mile bike ride. In that 10-mile bike ride, I am completely quiet and I'm listening because sometimes we pray and ask God for things, but we don't listen to the things that He say to us. So I make sure that I'm out there in nature and I'm listening. And I come back with some very profound stuff. When I come, I'll be like, oh, let me tell y'all what I learned. And they be looking at me like, here we go again.
Right.
But I love it. And it sets the energy for the day. The
Mm-hmm.
last time I watched TV probably was about 90 days.
Wow.
Once you start changing your mindset to think, I was a ratchet TV lover. I
Love
can tell
it.
you about every housewife show, every love and hip hop show. And we don't realize that we are what we consume. So when I stopped consuming that stuff, now I listen to it and it don't even sound the same anymore.
Mm.
So we really can change our mindsets by changing them thoughts and the things that we consume. Music is another one. I didn't really
Mm-hmm.
got away from a lot of the music that I used to love, and now I listen to a lot of feel good music, and it puts your energy in a different state.
At ease.
One of the things that you said when we first started was about we don't realize the things we carry from youth,
Yeah.
resetting your nervous system. I had to learn how to reset my nervous system because you don't realize you take all your old baggage into every situation, every relationship, everything. And
Mm-hmm.
even when you're in a relationship now that everything is good, you
Right.
still carry that energy, the lump
See.
in your throat, the knot in your stomach, where you're waiting for something bad to happen. And nothing that bad
Right.
is not even that. But
That
this is
happened.
the world we live in because that's what we're used to. So you are not broken, you are becoming. And
Mm.
yes, it is 20 short stories. And it starts with things that you may have encountered in your youth. Let's just say you was brought up in a household where it was always arguing, negativity, things along those lines. That's what your nervous system is wired for. So when somebody comes in the house and accidentally slam the door, you think, oh my goodness, chaos is about to break out.
Right. Right.
Somebody walk in the door, they don't speak. You think they mad. It might not have nothing to do with
You
you.
will.
So we definitely got to rewire these nervous systems. I'm like, whew, it's bad. So now, and I had this vulnerable conversation with my husband because sometimes we don't have
Mhm.
those type of conversations. And I had to
Right.
say to him, I said, you know what? It'll be 15 years married August the 6th. And I told him, I said, I did not realize for 15 years I walked around with a lump in my throat and a knot in my stomach waiting for the next shoe to drop that never dropped.
Wow.
So, what did I really miss out on in that relationship
Hmm.
by bringing in all this old baggage? I didn't show up as 100% myself.
That's true. And when you don't do that, it's something. Somebody asked a question too. Your
Mhm.
organization is centered on purpose, mindset, and transformation. What does helping is the core mean to you personally?
What it means to me personally, whew, wow. Like the nights that I have sat here and really cried from the personal transformation that I have done myself.
Mm.
Um, I just spoke at a church recently and I made a joke and I said, for me to be standing at the front of a church speaking to a congregation is something I never would have thought for myself because I was the one in the club Thursday, Friday,
Mhm.
Saturday, Sunday. I was
Right.
the one in the bars. I was the one. I lived the life. So to now this be my path, this is very personal for me. And I know that if I can do it, anybody else can do it. Um, I love the journey that I'm on. I love the main piece of it for me is helping other people see their biggest potential because you don't
Mm.
have to change. I'm not teaching you to change who you are. I'm not
Mhm.
teaching you that your circumstances are going to change overnight. When you wake up in the morning, you're not going to be a multimillionaire. But what I'm
Right.
teaching you is the tools to navigate the difficulties of life that you're going to encounter.
Mm.
I
And that's
teach you how
awesome.
to, yes, I teach you how to dream again. One of the things that we did is as kids, we dreamed. We had
Yep.
imaginary friends. We did it all. And then as life started life and we got away from them dreams. So I teach you
Mm.
how to dream again. If money was no object, what would your life look like?
Right.
Most of
And,
us
and
would have a completely different life.
right. Do something
So
totally different. And we're
totally
gonna
different.
welcome audience that came on, and we had a couple of questions that popped up there for us. So I want to welcome everybody here, and we want y'all to understand that this is all part of a healing. This is a conversation on how do we get back to feeling normal. Somebody asked a question: was there a defining moment in your life that led you to this mission?
Yes. So working again in corporate America, I worked for, we went through this program called Leading Edge Leader. And they told us, they said, listen, I was the manager of the quality assurance team. And they said, we want people to think of anything that the company currently doesn't have that we could possibly put into place. So I worked for 2 years and I created new positions. I had to work with HR to get these positions salaried. I had to get titles created. I had to work with the business areas that we audited to make sure that this was even a need for them. 2 years. 2 people on my team that were seniors got promoted to this new position, which was a coach. My team lead got promoted to a supervisor, and Cherie walked away with nothing. 2 years of work. And of course, mad at the world, upset with everybody. And the mentor that I had at the company was the chief of HR. And when I took it to her, she said to me, she said, I'm going to ask you one question. Tell me what happened. So I told her what happened. And she said, I want you to stop yourself. I want you to hear what you said. And I'm like, hear what I said. She said, back up just a little bit. And I didn't realize that I said, if there was not enough money, I was willing to take a back seat. And she said to me, she said, you put out there what the outcome was, and now you're mad with everybody but yourself because you didn't get what you wanted. So that kind of started me on the journey of words are powerful. What you put out there is definitely what you get back.
Mm.
So that was my defining moment. And I walked around with a chip on my shoulder at this company. And I'm like, you know what? Before I leave, let me start writing down everything I'm grateful for about this company. I was grateful for the connections I made, the people I met, the things that I learned, because I learned that was where I really learned that instead of seeing the cup half full, see the cup as however you want. Some people see it half full, some people see it as half empty, however you want to look at it. But
Right.
be mindful of how you look at that cup. That was
Mm-hmm.
the biggest takeaway I had from it. And I used to always see it as half empty. And now I changed my mindset to, you know what? It's half full. There's something in it. That's all I can say. There's something in it. So that was my defining moment, though, not getting something that I worked really, really hard for. And I blamed everybody but myself.
Wow. Kristen, welcome. And somebody said, how does helping in the core generate revenue?
So what we do offer is the 28-day personal transformational journey is completely free. But then after that, we offer pillars. We have 6 pillars. Most folks ask me once they went through the course, okay, I'm all in. What's next? How do I keep this energy? I get up every day. I listen to my feel-good songs. I write my 10 things of gratitude, but what's next? So we created 6 pillars. The first one is wake up, which is your self-awareness. Can't do anything. You cannot change behaviors until you're aware of the behaviors. Then
Right.
we have the second pillar is let go. Let go is where you now release all the baggage you've been holding on to. So under each pillar, we have 4 workshops, and those classes are monetized. Then we have the become. Who am I becoming? Now that I'm aware and I've
Mhm.
released the baggage, who am I becoming?
Right.
Then we have the align, which now Just because, and I think this is where a lot of the motivational workshops that I go to, this is where they stop. They
Wow.
tell you what you need to do, but then they don't tell you how to do it. So now you sit there like, all right, well, what am I supposed to do with all
Get
this
away. Yeah.
information? Yes. So we have the align, because you can become who you want, but if you're not aligning yourself with that image and you're still holding on to that old belief of who you are, you're not really going to get where you want to go. So now we're aligned, helping you align with who you want to become. Then we have the build. How do you build this up
Mm.
so that you can now impact others? Because the main portion of helping is the core is giving back to others. So our sixth pillar is contribute. How do I bring up my brother and my sister beside me? So those are the
Wow.
6 pillars that we teach. And those are workshops that you can buy into.
And that's how the income's generated,
Yes.
folks.
And then now we also are moving into corporate workshops. We've been pitching this to schools, first responders. We actually are working with a couple of retired detectives from the state of from Pennsylvania that for putting together a workshop for first responders, churches, anybody. Listen, helping is the core is from birth to end of life. So we have baby stuff coming, helping hero babies. We have all type of stuff because I think I know the world definitely needs what we're putting out there. When I go on social media and see how people respond to stuff, it's so cringy. I'll be like, oh gosh, like why are we so angry?
Right. Right.
It
And
is,
it's a lot of it.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Y-
And it's
You know,
because most of,
we don't even realize sometimes we're angry.
mhm.
And it came a point in time that, me going through therapy, I kind of realized, I'm like, yo, that was kind of mean. you know, I'm like, dang, I didn't mean it like that, but my therapist said it was a reason that transaction happened in your brain for
Mhm.
you to do that. So when I start to look at that, and I like that made a lot of sense to me that something was triggering you, and you probably don't want to tell it because it might show, but you have to release it. And how do you
Mhm.
release it? I might say, Cherie, that was the craziest thing I ever seen by such and so, and why they do something crazy like that when you can say, hey man, they were creative in what they were thinking about doing, and go from there instead of having those negative connotations
Mm.
of it, and go from there. And somebody said many people struggle to find their purpose. What advice do you give someone who's struggling or feeling stuck or uncertain?
What advice do I give if someone is feeling stuck or uncertain? One of the things that I would say is journal.
Hmm.
Definitely journal. Sometimes I have the biggest blocks removed when I just sit there and start writing. Don't have a concept, don't have a question that you're trying to answer, just write. And you'd be surprised what comes up when you just write. Another thing we don't
Mm.
do too is we don't ask the right questions. Most of us put out there, why me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do? If when you ask negative questions, your brain looks for negative answers. I
That's
get
right.
I get up every day and I put questions out there. The first question I ask every day is, what can I focus on today that will enhance my lifestyle while serve others?
Mm.
Because you got
Mm.
to do it from a serving perspective.
That's
So
right.
but those are you have to ask questions. And what I started doing on my social media even was putting out there questions of the day.
Mm.
Ask, what doors can I open to get to the
Okay.
next steps? How
Right.
can I open a door to get to the next steps? Your brain starts looking for positive answers to the questions, and you'll be
Questions.
surprised what comes up. So if you're stuck in a negative place and you're trying to find a way out of it, be mindful of the questions that you're asking.
Right.
And this don't have to be to another person. Just be mindful of the questions you're putting into the atmosphere, period.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And Chris Trower said something. Welcome, Chris. He mentioned some of those are legitimate triggers that we have, and we need to know how to deal with them. through life so we can get past that stuff. I notice sometimes, Cherie, that, people don't even know they're frowning. and they're like, what are you talking about? No, we just want to see why you were looking like that. And you like, it could be your thought process, but they're like, nah, I'm gonna let that go because I don't want you to know what I was really thinking. But you gotta let somebody know at some point in time what's triggering you. And that's a big thing. Somebody said mindset is a big part of your message. What's one mindset shift that can change someone's life?
I would say the biggest thing is letting go. We have a activity under the let go pillar, which is called the invisible backpack. Most of
Mm,
us don't realize that we carry a backpack full of all of the life trauma events, everything you've ever been through in that backpack. And the more stuff you go through, the heavier that backpack gets and the more it weighs us down. So we have an activity under the let go pillar, which is called how to release the stuff in that invisible backpack. Let's unpack it together. So, so that is the biggest thing I think that holds a lot of people back is the holding on to old stuff. We got to
stuff.
learn how to let it go. Whether it's a person, whether it's an event, whether it's childhood trauma, we got to let it go. That's not who you are.
That's
And
right.
that's what I had to learn. And I had a conversation with my mom. And, sometimes parents don't like to own stuff. They don't, because sometimes my kids come to me and I'll be like, no, I didn't do that like that. But I had to tell her when, as 9 year, my mom was my world as a kid. And she walked away from my dad when I was 8. And for me, that little girl running down the stairs behind her saying not leave, I didn't realize that I carried that into every relationship where
Mhm.
now I felt like I had to overcompensate because I have a fear of people leaving.
Right,
So
right.
sometimes we got to get to the root of those traumas in order to
Traumas.
finally release it and let it go. And when I had a conversation with her, she was like, oh, you being a little dramatic. That's not how it happened. I said, that's not how it happened to you.
You. That's right.
That's what that 8-year-old girl
Right,
experienced.
right, right.
So sometimes we have to allow people the space to even that that's not what they experience.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
it's that's the big piece though, is letting go. You gotta let go.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody said, if readers remember only one message, what would you want it to be?
That helping is the core is a movement. This is going
Man,
to be a movement dedicated to helping people transform their lives by helping themselves.
right,
And then
right.
when you help yourself, you transform your life. But when you help others, we transform the world. And that's the biggest piece that's missing. We are not helping others. You see
Others.
people in the grocery stores, they don't even speak. You'll walk all the way to the other side to put the cart back instead of giving it to the person standing right beside you. It's like, why are we so mean?
Mm.
So we got to get back into helping each other. And so that's what I would want everybody to take from this today is when you help yourself, you transform your life. But when you
And,
help others, that's how we're going to transform the world.
and and you know what? So you said about the shopping cart. I know all these have a thing where you got to put a quarter in, get the shopping cart and stuff. And I noticed that I have been there sometime and somebody said, I'm paying it back. Just take the shopping cart. Don't have to put your quarter in. So I said to myself, I said, when I get out of here, I got to find somebody to give this to. I might be a little longer, but somebody gave this that go from there. And Krista, how can I sign up
You
for it?
can sign up from on www.helpingisthecore.com and you can select the workshop that you want. So right now I have a group coaches that will be going through the course August the 1st. So we're opening it back up to the public September the 1st.
Wow. So yeah, folks, tune in, for it. And I want to say this, that we have been taught to kind of hide, as African Americans, to hide those feelings, even as men.
Mhm.
They tell you to man up, man up on
Yeah.
your things,
Mhm.
and crying, you better stop crying. But I'm going to tell y'all honestly that I know through my traumas of going through divorce to a new relationship, and my parents died at a young age for me, and I left the
Mhm.
house at age 17, and going through those things, I wanted to go in a corner and cry. I wanted to go out there and say, I don't need to talk to anybody. Just me and Jesus gonna figure it out. When we are gonna figure it out, but somebody humanistic has to
Mhm.
go there, and I have to say, Cherie, I'm struggling today,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to get past this hump. And I'm able to do that with my wife now, to where I say, yeah, I'm struggling with this. How do I get past this to deal with this so I won't be out here corrupting the world, you know,
No, I get it.
with this thing. And, somebody, like they said, as a leader and an entrepreneur, what challenges have shaped you the most, Miss Thompson?
You know what? The thinking you're not good enough to sit in the seat that you're sitting in. And
Mm,
I say that because when I first started this journey, the first thing I kept saying to myself is, what qualifies you to do this? What qualifies you to help somebody?
mm,
What qualifies you to tell somebody how to change their life? And when I sat there and I thought about it, I said, you know what? I've been in leadership for a very long time, mentoring people, people coming to me. I've left that company almost a year ago, and I still have people reach out to me today and tell me how I impacted them or helped them get to that next level. So I'm like, all my years of experience more than qualifies me. So why am I my own worst critic? And the
mm,
biggest thing that we teach is we extend grace to everybody. Why
mm.
we don't extend that same grace to ourselves?
Myself, that's right.
And I had to learn that because I didn't do it. I didn't do
Right, right,
it.
right. And
So
that's important.
it really is. It really is. So we have courses in the 28 day that teach people how to release negative thinking. We have a day on healing past relationships. Now, one of the questions that I get a lot with the healing past relationships is, what if the person's no longer in my life? What if the person's deceased? It's not about that person. The activities that you will do is how you heal it on your own.
Mhm.
You don't always need another person to heal that relationship.
That's right.
We also teach you one of the biggest things that we really need work with is our relationships with money. We do.
Ooh.
So we have a couple days where we go through courses where we talk about money. The courses are an hour long each day for 28 days. I seen somebody
Oh,
here put in the comments, how long
yeah.
were the courses? An hour a day for 28 days. They come with a workbook, so we go through questions. The folks who have went through it, I've gotten some really good testimonials. Have people who still reach out to
Mhm.
me today saying, my energy is not the same when I am not in class. That touches me because that lets me know that what I'm doing makes a difference.
Mm, hmm. And somebody asked a question, how do you stay motivated when I mean you might have some setbacks or like how do you keep that energy flowing?
Knowing that I'm serving others. It has all, my mom used to always tell me from a little thing, you always been for the underdog. And that's just always been me. I'm the one in the
Right.
store, like, oh, you don't have enough. Here you go. I'm all
Right.
that. So for me, it just lights my soul up when I'm able to help somebody become the best version of them.
And that's
Now, how do I keep that? I ain't gonna lie. Now, I be in my seasons. Some days I be in here like, right, all right, I got to regroup. But
right.
we also have a workshop called Know Your Season. because that helps me stay a little grounded, because I'm in my own season right now where things is not moving the way I need them to move. But
Right.
I know that I am in the growing season. I'm in my spring. So I know my autumn, where I get to reap the rewards, is not here yet. And I'm okay with that.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
sometimes we pushing for something that we're not in that season. We didn't
Mhm.
plant them seeds to reap them rewards yet. So slow down, it's coming. It's
Plant
coming.
them seeds.
Yes, plant them
Plant
seeds.
them. And,
So
and so I said, what are some of the misconceptions people have about living a purpose-driven life?
So I can give it to you from the younger folks. Most people misconcept is it's spiritual. It's all, everything is church and God and religion. Now, when you, I have to, one of the things I had to learn was my audience, where older folks, people my age, I can talk about God, I can see that they're still with me. The younger folks, soon as you mention it, you can see where they shut down. So I have to speak to them on a spiritual level, because some of them are spiritual. Everybody believes in something different. So learning how to meet people where they are has been one of the biggest things that I've had to learn. So,
Mm.
I take certain language out depending on who I'm talking to.
Mm. And that's important
Yes.
to be able to do that. And what does authentic leadership look like in today's world?
What I always used to say, which I think really helped me be a great leader, was I took all of the things that I didn't like about my leadership and said, I'm gonna do the opposite. one of the and one of the biggest things was empowering people. You put people in a certain role and now you want to micromanage what they do.
Mm.
That doesn't go hand in hand. You have to have faith in people to know that they're going to get the job done. You have to empower people to make decisions. Even on my helping is the core team, we just had a conversation. We meet twice a week, and we met last week. And I told them, I said, listen, make the decision. I don't have to be involved in everything. And when you give people that type of room for growth, you'd be surprised what people come up with on their own when you don't try to control every outcome.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And
that's what I love to do, empower.
and that is so important for how we live our lives. Sometimes we hear the younger generation stuff is family's overrated. you know, you hear that family's overrated. And I said, something done happen in their life to feel like that. And what happened, we'll never know in there. But, one of the questions said, how can everyday people create meaningful changes in their families, workplace, and communities?
By being mindful of how you show up. Because sometimes people don't understand. And one of the young ladies who went through the course, 23 years old, when she
Wow.
came to me, she was, I don't want to use the word angry, because she wasn't angry, but you can see she was carrying a lot. And to be 23, I'm like, girl, your life just starting. Why you so, you got so much going on? And one of the things was her home life. So once she started getting the tools, because it was everybody's fault but hers, as to why she was still home with her parents, why mom had rules, why she couldn't come and go as she pleased. And once she went through the course, it made her look at how she showed up. And she didn't even realize, she was like, I thank you, because my mom would cook dinner and I would come in with an attitude like, well, I didn't want that. But your mom cooked. If you didn't want it, then you should have gotten something else. But so I think that's one of the big things that we fail to realize, is we so busy looking at everything around us that we don't look at how we show up in those situations. Like you said, you walk in the room, your face balled up, your shoulders, and that's the energy that you give. So that's the energy you get back. And
Hmm.
sometimes we don't stand in that mirror and see what we give.
And why do people say family's overrated? I mean, I know growing up, family was everything. Family reunions. Your cousins was your first friends. Those type of memories generated bonds to where we are today, and we still can laugh about it. We got fun times. What happened now? Now we have families, they don't even know their cousins, or how the lineage go down, you know. And why do you think that is?
Whoa, that's a big one. Because I deal with that within my own family. And again, for me, myself personally, me and my daughter just had this conversation. My daughter's 30 years old, and my
Hmm.
cousin just had a 50th birthday party. My daughter went, and she was like,
Hmm.
"You know what, Mom? I didn't realize that I isolated myself from this side of the family my whole life because of the stories that I've heard."
Mm.
And she was like, I always was told that they fight all the time, they this, they that. So I never wanted to be involved. So maybe it could be the stories that they're hearing. Um, Sometimes it could be, the parents are getting a little younger now and they don't have that structured foundation that we had. It do seem like once it left our generation, it kind of stopped.
Yes.
And how do we get back to that is a big question. And I think it starts with the healing on the inside for
Right.
each individual. And a
Right.
lot of the parents is holding on to a lot of baggage because we thought that we did everything right. And now we learning as our kids are adults that we didn't.
We didn't, not at
We didn't.
all.
Mm-mm. So,
We didn't have no instructions.
I wish I could have went back and did a lot of things differently. And now I'm
Right.
trying to recreate that with the grandkids. And it's like, so, but the grandkids being spoiled rotten because now we're trying to recreate what we didn't do with the kids. My grandson is a handful. He's spoiled
Right.
rotten. Woo. Mm.
And we try to give back, but I was telling somebody, I remember that family reunions was our vacation.
Mhm.
When we got in there, and if we had to drive from New York down to South Carolina, and we was in that car, you got that cooler, and
Mhm.
you got that little bit of food, that sandwiches, and we had that was family, that was bonding to when we got down there. And even if some of the elders didn't get along, we really didn't know that because we was children. We stayed in
Mhm.
children's conversations.
Not no more.
When right now
Mm-mm.
we can't do that, and we
Mm-mm.
and we take a little bit of that with us. Somebody said, how can organizations and community leaders cultivate a culture where we're helping others become a core value?
So one of the things that we are currently working on is actual corporate workshops. Of course,
Oh,
the
wow.
pillars would be a little bit different because we have to tailor them to corporations and not individuals. But what we're working on is, again, being in corporate America for so long, I sat through a lot of trainings. And you walk in that door and there's a book on the table. Here we go again, what we got to learn. And after the first couple hours, you zoned out. So for corporate, what we wanted to do was make these workshops more interactive. Take teams
Mm,
of people and have them see through various activities where the disconnect in the company is. I'm not going to tell
mm,
you. Your people going to show you. So one of them is building blocks. You have a whole bunch of blocks on the table, and you have the people. Don't give them no instructions, and just sit there for 5 minutes and see what they do. You'll have
mm,
the one person who's always that leader mentality who's going to come in
mm.
and they're going to try to take over. Okay, y'all, let's do this, let's do that. You get the one who I don't really know what to do, so I'm gonna sit in the back and act like they don't see me. Then you get the ones who, all right, well, I'm gonna follow the leader. So this is when you initially see what the people on your team bring to the table without you having to even say anything.
Right.
Then after a few minutes, then you give them some instructions, and then
Mm,
you see what they build, and then let them
mm.
walk around and compare what the other teams did. But I think for me, training and learning should be very interactive, not just give me a workbook and
Right.
sit there and talk to me for 3 hours, 4 hours. No, I'm
Right.
very hands on. So that's how we're looking to bring it into corporations Also, one of the things that somebody asked about the family dynamics, we are working with a therapist and a mental health specialist to bring family workshops, because when I first went through this journey by myself, it was kind of hard to now walk your everyday life with your husband, your spouse, because they didn't. They were still in those mindsets, and now they looking at me like, okay, who she thinks she is. So when they all went through it together, now the way we communicate with each other is different. The way we show up for each other is different. My relationship with my mom hasn't been better since she went through the course. So
Wow.
yes, so we do want to do the family workshops as well, because that's what it's about, getting back to family. We also want to do couple workshops, because again, if one spouse goes through it and the other one doesn't, where does that leave you? You to
Mm.
go back to your old ways, then stay in the course. So we want to, helping is the core is for everybody.
That is. And folks, you see it going across www.helpingisthecore.com. Reach out, log in, figure out what's going on. I want to be honest with y'all. Therapy is the best medicine you're going to ever have.
Yes.
And
Yes.
dealing with real life situations is where it all comes out. Don't get me wrong. It's emotional,
Yes.
because I had to learn that it's emotional. It's okay to go through that emotion.
Yeah.
But the key is, am I changing the change of my life, of what I'm doing to be a best individual that I can ever be and stuff. And I got the big question here. Being honest, when you're the mindset when you're the mindset of a coach, who coaches you when you need that reset?
I pray.
Mm.
I pray. I get up every day. I do that 10-mile bike ride. That's my reset. But I pray, I journal, I meditate. And if I feel like none of that's working, which normally that will, put me in a better state, then we also have a Helping Us the Core playlist on YouTube. And I think my neighbors know every word for word. I listen to that playlist all day, every day, in the house, in the car, everywhere. And it instantly elevates your mood. So I tell
Mm-hmm.
people all the time, you want to instantly elevate your mood, music, dancing, dance like nobody's watching. Oh, I pump your fist, get yourself moving, whatever you need to do. But that instantly changes your state. Sit up, put your shoulders up. That right there instantly makes you feel better. So, it's little things that we can do that we do teach. We teach you about your breath. Most of us don't realize we don't breathe properly. Everything sits right here in your
Mm-hmm.
chest. Breathe properly. So we teach breathing techniques. We teach you how to end your day in gratitude. Most of us go to bed. I remember one time I was sitting there and I'm watching Instagram every day, every night, all these fights. And I'm like, for a whole week, I'm fighting for my life in my dreams. I was like, why am I getting jumped and beat up and people fighting me in my dreams? And it's because that's what my subconscious was absorbing before I went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So now I go to bed, I lay there, I go through everything I'm grateful for that day. It puts you in a different state as you're going to sleep, and then you wake up in a different state. So we teach you how to do all these things. So again, it's not about drastically changing your life overnight. I'm not putting millions in your bank account. I'm not taking your car and putting it in the shop. We're not doing any of that. What we are doing is giving you the tools to handle when you're on the way to work and you get that flat tire where normally you would spiral out. Now you know how to bring yourself back.
And that is so important, to regenerate and rejuvenate yourself when you're going through that. And I always, even with my therapist, I said to her, I said, Dr. Gash, I mean, what pushes you? She said, I push myself through obstacles. You run, she walks. And she said, you'll never understand how doing that circulates your mind to really evaluate what you're doing out here and to give you a better outlook of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be intentional
Very,
and what you're doing to
very.
get to that next step. And
Yep.
I said, wow, that's so amazing that us being intentional means so much. Somebody
Yeah.
said, what's the funniest excuse you have heard from someone who has said they were waiting for the right time to walk in their purpose?
It was the funniest thing. Um, to be honest with you, most people who come very serious and ready to do the work. So I don't really get a lot of the funnies. I get a lot of tears. I get a lot of breakthroughs. Those so yeah, I don't really get a lot of the funnies.
Mhm.
One something is we do teach you how to walk in gratitude, which is looking around your surroundings and being grateful for what you already have, not for what you feel like
Mm.
you don't have or what you're missing. Every day you woke up in the morning, that's something to be grateful for. Food on the table, roof over your head, all of those are things to be grateful for. So when we some people will make funnies around some of the things that they're grateful for, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well, I have it'll be something stupid that they have, and they'll laugh and say, yeah, I'm
Mm.
grateful for that. It's like, okay. So those about the funniest things I get is when people say little things that they're grateful for. They're grateful for 4 tires instead of 3, something stupid.
Yeah.
So that's probably the funniest.
Right. And that's good. And do you see, Cherie, since COVID, do you see that this mental health issue have increased a lot from
Yes.
there?
And I think that was the biggest thing for me with self awareness. I didn't realize that since COVID, the mental toll that it took on me, where before COVID, get up, you get dressed every day, you want to look your best, you outside. And then once we started working from home, I was working from home every day. My husband was in the office maybe 3 days a week. And he would come home and be like, yo, you still got that bonnet on. And I'm like, I ain't going nowhere when I'm taking it off for. So it was to the point where we really did stop caring about the little things. I wouldn't get nails done. I'm in the house all day. What am I worrying about that for? Who I'm looking good for? And I'm like, oh, I
Right,
still got
right,
a
right,
whole
right,
husband here,
right,
So,
right, right.
so yes, I do think COVID really played a part. I would sit there, binge watch TV for a week at a time, and he would come in like, come on, get up, get dressed. We out the door today. Like, you've been in this bed all week. And I'm like, really? So to me, it felt like one day. So yes, COVID really played a part on our mental state. And now it's how do we get that back? Get back to
Hmm.
where we were and better, because we really don't want to
Hmm.
get back to where we were, but we want to be better versions of that.
Hmm. And people went through a series of life-changing episodes there, not only from losing loved ones, but the
Mhm.
social. We were social. It was no such thing as working from home unless you was an entrepreneur
Mhm.
or had your office at home. But people became that creative mindset, that creative spirit out there, which changed things and gave people the best opportunity ever to live a different life. And somebody said, if you could ban one phrase from people's vocabulary because it keeps them stuck, what would it?
I'm
What would
broke.
that? Why?
I'm broke. Stop saying you broke. Stop saying you broke, because as long as you keep saying you broke, you're gonna be broke. That burns me up. That used to be something that I used to say, oh, I'm broke, girl. I ain't going out this weekend. And I'm like, you know what? Stop saying you broke.
Stop claiming it.
Yeah, stop claiming that energy. No, I got all the money in the world. You want me to tell you what I did? And people laugh at me. I went on Amazon and I got the prop money, and I think
Mm.
it's about maybe $50,000 in prop money, and I carry it around in my pocketbook every day. That's my reality. So they say, listen, you gotta fake it till you make it.
That's right.
So if you see me in the store, if I leave my bag and you see all this money, look at it first before you try to spend it, because it's not real.
Right. And it's so good when you can see the value in those things and the little things. And Sheree, you said the gratefulness. is that we overlook that so much. I'm guilty of it, because I'm always looking because I want to excel higher, but I'm not thankful for the little things that happen today
Mm-hmm.
to where people don't have it. I I just think about just a couple of weeks ago, a lady I went to school with all my life, and I know she was going through grieving from her husband passing a couple of years ago, and now she passed, and and I was just thankful. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe, her parents passed and her husband, and now her, but her kids got to be totally shell shocked of what they're going through. So I had to say to myself, I'm grateful that I can do the little things and pray today and just go around and stuff, and I pray that those kids have a good life,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're teenagers,
Yep.
they're going through I mean, that's a big hurdle to overcome.
Mm, very big.
For it. And folks, I tell everybody, and I'm gonna mention this again, www.helpingisthecore.com. Reach out, register. You might not think you have the issues you're dealing with because you think it's normal. Just get a other opinion. Just be open to what's happening. Be open to how you feeling and what's going on to it, and don't say I'm gonna shun it off. For because it can trigger some things down the line, and I look at some of the stuff that's happening out here in the world today. With the shootings, my ex father-in-law said right down the street in Louisiana that where the man killed the 8 kids.
Mm.
He said he used to see him. He's like, I seen this man. We high and by, and he walked in. He's like, I could never imagine that was gonna happen,
Wow.
and stuff for it. So be thankful. I tell people for every little thing, you know, going through that situation here. And Sheree, I'm so thankful that you have gave this vision, that you presented this vision out there for, because I got to be honest, it gets overlooked. It
Yes,
gets
it does.
overlooked. People's not honest with it. They're not valuing that we're facing some traumas here in our life. And guess what? It's not going to get better if we don't get
Mhm.
right, if we don't get the help we need and stuff for it. And, I just want to, you give me a good closing statement that encourage our audience that they need to think through this stuff.
One thing I would leave you guys with is, because it's just so much, but being open to healing starts with you. Nobody can
Mm,
talk you into it. It's like you have to be really in a place where you're ready to receive the healing. And this is why I try not to call it even healing. This is why the book is titled You Are Not Broken, You Are Becoming. Because
ooh,
sometimes when you say the word healing, the first thing people say is, well, I don't need to be healed. You're right.
mm,
It's not for me to decide what language it is that you will receive. But what I'm going to say is this: we give you the tools to become the best version of you that you can be.
mm.
So when you're ready to start becoming who you were sent here to be, come see me at Helping is the Core. I got you.
Yeah. Come see her, folks.
Come
Come
see.
get checked out.
It's free.
Come get revitalized,
It's free.
rejuvenated. It's
Johnny, some of
free.
it's free. What do you lose? 28 days is
Right.
free.
FREE, and keep saying E free. Folks, it's
Yes.
a lot of things in this world is free, but stuff like this, mental health that's getting you to healing, normally is not free. I got to be honest with you. I pay for a therapist every week for it, so it's not free when you offer that. It's free. It's free for me. Yes, it is, Chuck. But you got to remember that We're here to change lives. We're here to rejuvenate, to get you back for it. Chris said, man, Chris, thanks for tuning in. You can't take care of your family until you take care of yourself. That is the
Amen.
honest to goodness
Amen.
truth. And
Yes.
folks, know that we have to take care of our families, our loved ones, and everybody.
Ourselves, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Mm-mm.
That's it. Folks, thank y'all again for tuning in another week. I want to thank Ms. Thompson for reaching out. www.helpingisthecore.com. Go ahead, look her up, give her a shout out, check out some of those books, for support, but get your healing and know that it's going to be free. Y'all have a great evening, and you're not broken. You're
You are
not
becoming.
broken.
Woo-hoo.
You're only
Yes.
becoming.
Yes.
Check it out. Get ready for it. Get ready for this transformation. But until next week, thank y'all for tuning in. Creative Financing with JB, always finding resources to make you better. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye.